Neuro, having to do with a neuron, nerve cell, in the nervous system. Plastic means it can be shaped or changed or molded. Neuroplasticity is the ability to reorganize the connections in your brain based upon your thoughts, lifestyle, and environment. A perfect example of neuroplasticity is learning how to ride a bike or play a musical instrument. It takes time at first to learn, but the more you practice it, it just keeps getting easier and easier. That's because the movement and coordination needed to ride a bike or play an instrument really comes from neurons or nerve cells communicating with each other through electrical activity. Whenever you get on that bike or play that instrument, you continue to strengthen those connections between neurons. To understand this, let's look at a neuron. There are three basic parts: dendrites that receive the incoming signals, the cell body that processes these incoming signals, and the axon that transmits the signal down to the axon terminal. The synapse is a tiny, tiny space between neurons where all the action and communication happens. When the sending cell transmits the signal down to the axon terminal, chemical messengers called neurotransmitters are released into the synapse, and they park in their designated parking spot, called a receptor, on the receiving cell. The receiving cell is then told what to do: either continue the signal or be quiet. So how can we relate this communication between neurons to neuroplasticity? Well, it's actually quite simple. Neurons that fire together wire together. That means the more communication certain neurons have with each other, the stronger their synaptic connection will be. And the opposite holds true. If neurons are communicating very little, their synaptic connection will weaken. A simple analogy for this is, if you have a best friend who lives in your city, you're texting all the time. You have a strong communication between each other. But if that friend moves away to a different state, you would probably text a lot at first because you'd miss them. But with time, both of you would begin to meet new people and hang out with new groups, and your texting to each other would begin to slow down. Your communication is weakened.